Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome, friends and family from around the world, to the Energetic Life Now show. I am your host, Eric Stenlake, and it is an absolute pleasure to have you guys tuning in today with us. Whether this is your first time here, whether you have jumped on a number of shows, or you're watching a replay, we just want to extend a very, very warm welcome and blessings to you and your family wherever you are around the world. Today's show is being broadcast on the Spanglish World and her networks on Zingo TV on channels 250 and 251. If you need to download the Zingo TV app, please do so on your iOS or Android devices. It is free. And when you do so, please leave a rate and a comment. We would love to hear your feedback on the channels. Zingo TV is also available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Fire TV sticks, Roku sticks, and on all smart TVs 2016 and forward. So today, Energetic Life Now, family and friends, you know what time it is. It's time to bring the best of the best and not anything less. And that's what I'm doing from coast to coast, because our guest today, second week in a row, we got somebody from the Big Apple in the house. So I'd like to introduce to you all my dear friend, Annette, all the way from the Big Apple, tuning in here to what we're doing on the Energetic Life Now show. Welcome, Annette. What is going on?
I love your intro. Thank you. I love your energy. All is well here on the East Coast. Not as sunny and bright as the West Coast, but I'll take it.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I'm so grateful to you for being here today and staying up late, late on the East Coast to be here on the show. Please, Annette, would you please share with the listeners a little bit about yourself, your background, what you do, maybe some social media handles that you got going on? Tell us a little bit about you.
With pleasure. So my name is Annette Ramrattan, as wonderful Eric mentioned, and I am from the East Coast. I'm from New York originally, and I am a dual elite neuroencoding specialist and a brain health trainer. And along with that wonderful journey, I'm also a accounting consultant. So I have a lot of little things up in the air that keep me busy. And my biggest passion is helping others, working with others because of my own personal story, right? So many people we hear about who suffer in silence. Well, actually, we don't hear, we actually know when it's too late. So that's been something where, based on my own personal journey and knowing that there is another side to that suffering in silence, then I dove into the personal development world and found an amazing support system, found my own inner strength, pretty much became a student of myself. So being able, and I'm still learning, at age 25 times 2 plus, I'm still learning about myself. So it's just been a fascinating voyage.
Oh, that's great. Thanks, Annette, for sharing that. And you do have quite an amazing story. So I'm hoping that you are going to touch on that a little bit tonight and give us just a taste of what your story is. Because as you heard her say, she's been a student of herself. And that, my dear friends, is an amazing feat in itself. And as she's sharing her story, you're going to hear what it is that she has done to really level herself up and be able to, as our mentor and coach says, Dr. Joseph McClendon, physician, heal thyself. And so, Annette, if you would go into a little bit about your story for us.
So growing up in the Bronx, New York, there's many things that I was honored and privileged and fortunate and sometimes unfortunate to witness when it comes to the inner city life. But one of the things I want to say is that as a child, we're sponges and we take in our environment. And one of the things I would say is different challenges that came up. We don't really understand how it affects our nervous system until later on in life. So as a young adult, I developed panic attacks and anxiety without really knowing what it was. So back then, the language and the conversations about mental health weren't so mainstream. So you kind of like had to figure things out, and there was a lot of shame or stigma behind pretty much if you had some kind of struggle. So with that, with things that were going on with me, I've always been very ambitious and go getter. So I kind of like buried things in keeping busy, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So as a young adult, working full time, sometimes two jobs, going for my accounting degree, things were happening where, as they say, a panic attack, you feel like weird things are happening in your body, right? So the nervousness, out of breath. Um, I would get it so it would go to a level where I would black out. And again, I didn't know what this was. So I would rush to the doctor and say, hey, something weird. I feel like I was going to die. Something's going on with me. And again, back then, it wasn't like, hey, here, go talk to someone, go see a psychiatrist. It was more of like, let's do the test, let's do the physical test, let's see what's going on. And there was a decade of my life where I didn't get answers to what was going on with me. So I would just show up, again, as a young professional, looked the part, dressed the part, spoke the part, but had that inner turmoil trying to figure out what was going on. So I hid it from the world. And as a 24-year-old, my mother passed away. And with that, you know, we all deal with losses and things that happen differently. So for me, again, I dealt with the emotions, but I guess not enough. So it snowballed, right? So let's just anxiety, panic attacks, and unknowingly depression set in. And it caught up to me in the form of a nervous breakdown because, your mind, your thoughts will affect your body, and your body will let you know what it needs when it needs it. So, with that being said, during that time, found out what was going on. Someone finally used the words anxiety. Someone finally used the words panic attack. Someone finally used the word depression. And once you tell me something, right, I've always been a student of things. So I became a student of me. And I'm like, oh, that's what's happening. So, I went in and dove into the self help section in bookstores. I did speak to a professional, and I did not like the response I heard of, this is depression. And I'm not saying anyone, I'm not a medical professional, so I'm not saying if you take medication, I'm not saying to stop. I am saying get the answers you might need. Um, so anyway, I dove into learning about myself. I did not want to surrender to that you'll be on medication for the rest of your life. And this is something, so that drove me into the personal development world. I tapped into being resourceful, right? So that word is very powerful, being resourceful. And whatever tools I can get my hands on, whether it was a book, whether it was a conversation, whether it was a video. Back then, there was the Oprah, Joel Osteen, Tony Robbins, so many different resources that I can tap into. And let's say from 27 to, I'm not going to weigh my age, but a decade or so, I I continue to stay tapped in and again keep learning about myself, finding out what I can do to feel better and manage, right, mitigate those triggers, those emotional things that were happening that were affecting my body. And long story short, I gifted myself a Tony Robbins ticket to UPW at age 40 and had the time of my life. And from then on, you know, it's just been a joy and a privilege to continue on that journey and learning from so many mentors. Number one, Joseph McClendon, hands down, has totally changed my life. And here we are. Here it is where I went from getting help for myself to being able to help others. And as I continue to do that, I am still positioned Heal Thyself in learning about myself and reaching that next level.
That's beautiful, Annette. Thank you so much for sharing your story. And our topic tonight was living with passion or living passionately, and you can hear it in Annette's voice. You can hear it in her story. She's not one that just kind of idles by in life. She goes at it, takes control, knows what she wants, and goes after it. And I love that so much about you. And I thank you for having the passion to want to be better, to do more with your life, and not settle for just existing, if you will, and moving from where you were to a better place in your life. And so I thank you for that. It's been a joy for me to get to know you over the last, was it 4 years now?
I
Is this
believe
our fifth year? 4 years. I'm losing track. I'm losing track in my old age. Yes, yeah, last 4 years, and so it's been an absolute joy to see and watch your journey, and see you just absolutely explode with passion. And now we all wondering like, well, what is she doing that she's exploding back? No, let me tell you, let me tell you. Actually, I'm not going to tell you. Annette is going to tell you. Annette, you just got through doing a whole year of something,
Mhm.
and I would love for you to share that with our viewers around the world. What you did, that you passionately went after something for an entire year.
Absolutely, absolutely. So in that journey, coming across Joseph McClendon III and the amazing Dr. Daniel Amen, there was a an opportunity to join something called the Brain Revolution and becoming certified as a neuroencoding specialist and a brain health trainer. Now, in school, like this was, I mean, look, whether it's you or myself or anyone, if you just pay attention to how things stack up and how life literally guides you, it is mind blowing, mind blowing. And one of the things I want to say is when I was in school, I was fascinated with both math and biology. So I always felt like accounting or finance or nurse working with patients. So I always had that like I was torn between which way to go. And one of the things with the brain revolution and Dr. Amen teaching us about the brain, it is hands down brilliant. With all of us have a brain, why not know more about it? Why not learn, be aware of it? Why not learn how, if there is an issue, how what's the possibility of fixing that issue, and how can we optimize the brain? So I took on a feat of, and I have visuals if you don't mind.
Yes, of
So our
course.
brain, right? So this little squish, I bought this little squishy in Staples. I thought it was so cute, but it's just a great visual of how soft the brain is. So we have that organ in there, and we have the hard skull. So anything that might hurt the head, and concussions and all that stuff, you're literally hitting up against something, a hard surface. So this delicate material is up against up against. I don't have my ants to show you right now, but the feat of the whole year was this wonderful book. This is what, change your brain every day with Dr. Daniel Amen. And in this book, there are so many gems, so much information. It's a daily read, as you mentioned. Every day, I committed to going on live, hopping on live on Facebook, and just giving a summary as to what the lesson, the daily read was. And I learned so much on top of the certification. But I think the way Dr. Amen breaks it down in simple language of this book is just phenomenal. So, and the commitment, right? Whether I felt sick, whether I was out late, whether you know, having that commitment and that passion to deliver the message showed me something about myself where I don't think anything I've done, you know, consistently committed to for 365 days, that was huge, huge.
Yeah, no, listen, that was absolutely amazing. Oh yeah, I'm gonna go to the gym and I'm gonna work out and maybe I'll get there a couple days a week. To really say, I am going to be disciplined in a practice of doing something every day for a year. I mean, that's just huge. And I just absolutely applaud you for that. And it was amazing to see your lives every day and going through the reading. It was really, really a wonderful way to start my day or end the day, depending upon when it was that I had that time to sit down and watch that. And for the listeners that are out there to find this, where would they be able to find those episodes?
It's in my Facebook group. So I have a Facebook group. It's called Passionately Living with Annette, and you guys are welcome to join. Find me on social media, Facebook. Once we connect, I can send you an invite to the group, or you could just find the group and join.
That's awesome. Passionate Living with Annette. There you have it. Go check it out on Facebook. And you're also on Instagram too.
Yes.
And so that's a great way to connect with Annette on there. And you guys have a way to get into that group and go watch some of those videos, if not all of them, and commit to yourself to leveling up your life and to really take it day by day and look for those small things that you can enact change in for yourself, that you can be the driving force behind your life and creating the best life that you can for you, and to be that driving force behind it. So thank you, Annette, for sharing all that. So now that you're on the this end of this 365 days, what are you doing now?
I am. I have developed. I had created a group, another group, a live group that people can join. It's called 24 Facets of Further Faster, and I think it comes from those, those life experiences that we all have. I think many of us could share our stories, many experiences, many gifts that we can share with the world. So the 24 Facets of Further Faster, if you don't mind me telling the story, comes from, as an accountant, I worked for a very high-end jeweler, self-made billionaire. Amazing story. You guys are welcome to look him up. His name is Lawrence Graff, Graff. And I was his head accountant for the U.S. territory. And with that, I came across, I mean, the jewels that are priced, I mean, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful gems. And I'm just I'm a girl, and I love diamonds and I love beautiful stones. So I would see these wonderful gems and I would just be blown away. And I was lucky enough, even though I was the accountant, the inventory department knew how much, pleasure I got in just like trying something on. And they would say, hey, you just want to try this on, or whatever the case is. So I was a lucky girl playing dress up and things like that. But in all of that, there was a time during my corporate experience where I felt like I lost my identity again, whether it was the panic attacks, whether it was the anxiety, whether it was that depression creeping in. Regardless of my surroundings and the experiences, I would sometimes have those lows, right? And it's like, what is it that I can do to shine from within? How can I uplift myself? How can I be as brilliant as one of these gems? So that was like an analogy that I would keep in the back of my mind. And that was another thing that came, passionate living comes from kind of that also, where I attended a Tony Robbins event, and, again, sitting at my desk, I was just doodling at one moment after lunch, and I'm just thinking and thinking. And I said, you know what, Annette, why don't we commit to living with passion? Why don't we commit? Because Tony says that, right? Live with passion. And you leave the event and you're just like, so like you're on fire, and you just like want to take on the world. And I just wanted to embody that. I wanted to make that part of my everyday. So I wrote Passionately Living. I'm living with passion, and I just wrote Passionately Living. And I just had this vision for myself. And with the gems, that was another part of it, of like, how can I shine as brilliant as these gems? And I have this other visual here that I show my group when we have the calls. It's the facets in a gem, aside from the cut, is what makes it shine bright. So those 24 facets of Further Faster, twice a month we hop on and there's a different topic of how we can shine our light in the world and help others, help ourselves, and be that wonderful, wonderful person we hope to become and want to become and are becoming.
Wow. I love that. And I love that. So if I'm understanding you correct, twice a month you guys are meeting, and this is where can we find the group, the 24 facets of Further Faster?
So that's a free group, and I post it. It's all over social media. It's whether it's on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. I post a link, and people are just welcome to join. They don't have to sign up for anything in particular. Just come join us. It's a great call. We celebrate wins, and we have an open discussion. So it's pretty cool.
That's awesome. Thanks, Annette. And I love that it's free, right? Everybody loves free. So the 24 facets of Further Faster, you've heard it here announced today. Make sure you guys hop on a social media, find Annette, and get into that group. That would be amazing for you guys to join that. That's awesome. So you now have moved through a number of different growth stages in your life, right? You've moved out of this into this. You're progressing into that. You've gone to Tony Robbins. You've gone through training with Joseph McClendon and Dr. Daniel Amen. You now have this new group going, and the Living Passionately with Annette. Like, where do you feel like you are right now in your place on this earth? Like, Annette's looking at Annette in the mirror, right? We know we do mirror exercises. When Annette looks at in inside herself, if you will, where do you see yourself right now, as opposed to where you were and where you're going?
That is a great, great question. There's so many levels to that, Eric, that I can say. Ultimately, I am extremely, extremely proud of what I've been able to do and show up for myself, right? So, has it been easy? Absolutely not. Has it been scary? Heck yes. But being able to come from, and I had a great upbringing. I'm not sitting here saying, "Oh, my childhood was misery." No, it wasn't. But there were some challenges, and part of that challenge, something that I had to, and still to this day, it's one of those triggers, as they say. My mother had a time period in her life where she was homeless, and seeing that as a young child, not I wasn't a young child, young teenager, it really took a toll on me. And I think it's two things, right? So, what can you do about the past? We can't do anything about the past. We can't change the past. We can only change how we feel about the past. So, I truly believe that gave me fuel to say that's something I would not want for myself, right? As much as, and yes, my mother was able to, get off, have a home and do better for herself and things like that. But one of the things I wanted that helped me as a young lady is have that drive in self sufficiencies, the best way I can say it, in that I must take care of me. So whether I had to work 2 jobs, 3 jobs, go to school, it was something that it built that resiliency in me.
Yeah.
So looking back to where I was and where I am today, it's just been a phenomenal gift, right? Some people say, "Oh, struggles, no one wants to struggle and no one wants to have challenges," but it's part of life. And then it's, what do you do with those struggles? What do you do with the lessons in those challenges that make us stronger and resilient? So, to answer your question, I am dang proud of the chances I've taken, the steps I've taken, the choices I've made to invest in me. So again, going back to Tony Robbins, I bought a ticket. I didn't have any friends or family that would go with me or was in that kind of environment. So I literally, took my younger brother and said, "Hey, got a ticket. Don't ask any questions. This day we're going somewhere." And he was like, "What are you getting me into now?" and after that, I just saw that environment, that support. I mean, those who have been to the events, you know what it's like. There's nothing like it. I believe that it's just like a stranger just like giving you a hug. I remember someone from Italy that was there, and he was, to me, I'm not too short, but I am short, and he was like almost probably 7 feet or six something, and he just grabbed me, and he just, he did heart to heart. He said, in Italy we hug heart to heart, and I was like, oh my God, that's so beautiful. So it's things like that, those minor, little experiences that you have that you wouldn't have elsewhere, because people are just so stuck in the hustle and bustle, and so it's just things like that. And I just want to say, just like Joseph taught us, when you have those experiences for yourself and someone gifts you that, you just want to share it with the world, and you want to, show it and gift it forward. So that's what this is all about. Passionately living is that, like, living that passion for myself, but also sharing it with others. I'm a big kid at heart. I have my happiness shirt on right now. In the back, it says happiness makes me happy. There's little things I have around, little trinkets and stuff that, it's just what little joys can you embody and have around you each day? What things can you do? And even today, I was thinking before we got on this call, with even the accounting, as an accountant, right? There's that corporate stuffiness, and it was just something that I would show up as an auditor. People don't want to hear that word. Oh, she's an auditor back then. And it's that people connection. So with that, I always had that in the back of my mind. It's you're connecting with people, even regardless of the kind of work that you're doing, you're connecting with another human being. So treating them with respect, treating them with courtesy, I would get, I would get what I need. To be honest with you, I would get what I need. It wasn't like this like icky feeling, and people would request me back year after year, like, hey, we like her vibe, we like the way she works with us. So it's things like that I feel that when you say look within and what am I proud of, I'm really proud of that, like learning about myself, developing myself, investing in myself, and then taking that and wanting to help others with my journey.
Oh, that's so beautiful. That's just wonderful, Annette. Thank you so much for sharing that. Um, I hope you guys picked up on that. I know we're using the word passionate and passionate living with Annette. Now you guys are seeing really what it is that has brought about this for her. And I just am so happy for you that you have taken the time and not rushed the process, and really gone internal and said, what do I need to do to work on me, and to find those connections, and be and you might want to touch on this too, is being aware of and in tune with yourself enough to hear, listen, feel when something, like you're saying the word trigger, when something emotionally comes up and you're like, where did that just come from? Why is that surfacing? I haven't thought about that in years. And I know for me, I've been doing this myself too, in that, and really, really especially over the last like 6, 8 months, just going really, really deep. I mean, even to just the other day, I was sitting out back on the patio and having a conversation with someone. I'm like, man, I have been pulling stuff out of my childhood that I was like, what?
Mhm.
What? And then boom, okay, what do I do about it? And then being able to work through that process of saying, okay, that happened. How do I disconnect the emotional connection from that so I can heal myself and then be able to move forward? And so maybe you could touch on a little bit of that, if you would. When those things surface, what do we do? What should we do from a brain health perspective, from a psychology perspective, to understand and recognize that feeling and where it's coming from, the why, and then what are some of your go-to tips and tools on how to kind of navigate through that, or clear that emotion, so that you can not have that attachment anymore.
with with that, there are things that might come up, whether it's a trauma you experience, whether someone hurt you. There are so many things that might come up when it comes to your past, and again, those triggers, right? So one of the things I will say is understanding, like having a real deep understanding that some things that might have happened are not your fault, especially as a child. And I'm not a child psychologist, but I would say, especially as a child, many things that happen, it's not our fault. We're at that age, we don't know any better. We're, at the mercy of the adults that care for us. And sometimes those adults are doing the best that they can with what they know. So
Right.
it's not necessarily a blame game. It's just they're doing the best with what they know. And epigenetics is a huge thing that I also find extremely fascinating in how things affect us from generations to generation to generation. One of the amazing experiments that I think tells it all is that experiment with mice, right? So how there was that experiment with one generation of mice that were exposed to lavender, but then they were shocked. So every time they would smell lavender, they would go into shock without even the shock being issued to them. Now, what ended up happening was during generations down the line, like seven, they in that experiment, they say 7 generations down the line, those mice, those offspring, were introduced to the smell of lavender and they would go into shock. So imagine how many things we carry in our nervous system as
Yeah.
human beings, right?
Yeah.
So that I find extremely, extremely fascinating. And one of the things also, when things come up for us, when it comes to our brain, so many of us know about that fight or flight, right? So generations ago, we had to survive, and we have that natural fight or flight within us. And Dr. Amen shares with us an acronym called ANTS, automatic negative thoughts, right? So our thoughts, everything starts with a thought. And we have those automatic negative thoughts that pop up, whether it's from the past, whether it's experiences, whether blame, whether it's shame. And he helps us. And I have another visual. I have another one. so, so when I'm working with clients, I show them my little brain here, right? My little brain image here. And those ants, they're not literal ants on our brain, but it's the analogy of it. So those automatic negative thoughts, just think about it. If one pops up, be able to like pluck it off or pluck it off and kick it off, right? So get those ants out of there. But one of the things that help us get those ants out of there is questioning them,
Yeah.
right? So is this thought that I'm having this moment, ask, is it true? Especially if it's a negative one. Is this true? And then answer it and ask again, is this really true? Answer that. And then ask, what is true? So I think that's a very helpful exercise, and to get us out of that, break those patterns. And talking about breaking patterns, Joseph helps us with that stop technique, right? Being able to have a thought, what's a negative thought, being able to get up, take a breath, put your hands back, celebrate, put your hand on your heart. I am magnificent. Break that pattern and then celebrate. Things that we can do, simple things we can do, whether it's putting a smile on our face for no reason, right? That helps build that dopamine and get that body, that opening that chest and get those, even if it's a connection with someone else, you could be walking down the street, put a smile on your face. If you're feeling really, really bad about yourself for any reason, let's just say you made a mistake, you have something you're regretting, and all that stuff, that self beat up, we could be our worst enemies, right? Those thoughts, starting with those thoughts. So I have a smile success formula that I love to share with others too. So yes, it's about smiling, but also that, remember I started with suffering in silence.
Mhm.
So what can you do to avoid that suffering in silence? So that smile technique is share your thoughts. S stands for share your thoughts. Speak to someone, family, friends, someone you trust, and get those thoughts out. And if that's too much, you can journal. You can just journal, like dump it in a book to get it out of your system. M is for master your moments. What can you do in this moment? What are those things you could do to find joy? What are those things you can do for gratitude? What are those things you can do for connection? You're the master of your moments. Then you have the I for internal dialogue. Those thoughts. What are you telling yourself? What are you thinking in the moment? How can you change that? How can you put in a daily practice those wonderful affirmations? I am amazing. The mirror exercise you mentioned. Starting your day with looking at yourself in the mirror and saying your name and I love you. That's a wonderful way to begin the day. The L, just what I just mentioned, love. Love yourself. Love on you. Again, whether it's that mirror exercise, whether it's, giving yourself that big hug, finding love within yourself. Self-love, self-care is extremely, extremely important. And then energy, raise it. Do something, trampoline, listen to music, dance, celebrate, be that big kid. I have a hula hoop. There's play with the dog, play with the kids, go be around, find that energy, find that joy. And it helps when you're having those moments, being able to break that pattern. I feel that the more, like rehearsal, right? Just like rehearsal, the more and more you do it, the more and more becomes your default. So when you're having those moments, you're able to snap out of it much faster.
That's awesome. Oh my gosh, I love it. Listen, Energetic Life, family and friends around the world, you have heard it here first. Dropping the exclusive smile technique on us today, the fabulous and amazing Annette. I want to go through that one more time because if you watched, I was writing this stuff down too because it's fabulous. Share your thoughts, master your moments, internal dialogue, love yourself, and energy. Be that energy driver. And I love it. And I love that you talked about the ants because dun, 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 dun. Oh, wrong book. Dun, 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 dun. Conquer your negative thoughts.
That's right.
This is Dr. Daniel Amen's book just on the ants, just about the ants. And if you're with me, if you've been on in my private Facebook group, the Empowered Family Network, I did this whole book, this series, Coaching in the Car with Eric, in the mornings before school.
Nice.
I was going live into our group and we went through that entire book. So if you want to see, this broken down, conquering your negative thoughts, come join my Facebook group, the Empowered Family Network. And I've got all those videos on there. They're all labeled for all the ants. And you can get in there and check that out. That would be amazing. But man, as you were going through all that, boy, it just is a ray of hope for those that may be in the position where they're experiencing some things right now. Right? I mean, we've both been talking about we've dealt with stuff from our past, and if I had an opportunity to listen to someone like you a few years ago, what you just said was absolute gold because it would have helped me to move forward in my life just by using that smile technique. And so I thank you for that, and thank you for bringing that to our listeners around the world, because I know that they're going to use it too. And wherever you are around the world, whatever country you're tuning into tonight, thank you for being here, and thank you for allowing us to share these things with you. And we hope that you are able to take what we're saying and be able to put it into practice for your life and to share that with someone else. I mean, that's huge. And as the first, the S there of the smile is share your thoughts, share it with someone else. Hey, you guys, I was on the show last night and I heard these people talking about the smile technique, and Annette shared all this with us, and I want to share it with you. Share that. Don't keep it just to yourself. Share it out with everybody, because you're gonna find that the person you share it with then can share it with someone else. And that's how we enact change on this beautiful planet. That's how we help to heal the world through whatever it is that people are going through in the immediate or from their past, and to heal it from those hurts and traumas of whatever it is that people are going through. So, Annette, you now are in this place where you've got these groups going and you're feeling really solid with what you have going on. Is there anything in your immediate future coming up where you're like, man, I can't really spoiler alert this, but something big is coming, or you're saying, listen, I got this thing that this is the next piece of my puzzle, of my passionate puzzle that I'm putting together. Share with us kind of where you are in that.
Well, with my vision of, working with people and groups, and I honestly have a vision of, 24 years from now, celebrating 24 years of 24 facets and a live event, people coming together and just celebrating their journey, their growth, they're reaching their next level, and working with continuing this is my oxygen. This is it. I was made for this. Where whether it's helping one person or helping the masses, I know this, I'm where I need to be, where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That's amazing. Thank you, Annette, for sharing that. I echo that as well, if I may take a moment to do so. I went back into the classroom this school year at a middle school, and it was absolutely crazy, and I absolutely loved it because it's just my energy, and just had a blast with those kids, and planning on going back again, and planning on bringing this into my space to work with kids and youth. And you guys know that I'm a teen family success coach, and working through that process. And I really truly am focused on making as much of an impact that I possibly can every single day. That's my word for 24, impact 24. And every day I wake up, I go and look for those opportunities. It has to be purposeful. It has to be intentional. I have to go out with my eyes open and aware of what's going on around me, who's around me, who can I smile at, who can I do something nice for a stranger or my family or friends or something of that nature. What kind of impact can I bring into my space on a day-to-day operation? How can I bring that to school? How can I bring that to each and every individual student that I come across in my journey that day at school? And I love that. I love that the kids at school, we've adopted the Taylor Swift bestie, and so we walk around school making heart signs to everybody. And I could be 50 yards for 100 yards for some kid, and I hear, Mr. S, hi, bestie. And I see a kid making a heart way down there, and it's like, I love that. I love being able to be in those moments. It's so special. And so I would really encourage you guys, where can you bring passion into your day-to-day living, that you can not only learn more about you, but then you can bring that out and share that with others. And I think that's really what Annette and I are trying to get across here in our points tonight, is that we have the unique opportunity to, first of all, go internal and heal ourselves, and then to take that external out to the world and make as big an impact as we can. So, going back, if we can, I want to circle back to a little bit of your learning and your journey in that, if you will. Was there anything that came out, like you're doing your processing, and anything that popped up that just absolutely surprised you, and you were like, what the holy moly? And then you came out that other side and said, I've dealt with this, and man, I didn't realize that was there. And now I'm just like, I'm so free. I feel so light and so grateful that I had the opportunity to recognize it and move through it.
Yes. One of the things that came up was an aha moment, right? So again, being that student of yourself, literally, I think 2 years ago, maybe, I came to the realization that I was, you know, labeled a nerd in school. Why was I labeled a nerd in school? I got good grades. I was like teacher's pet, whatever it might be. And I just kept on and on with that, even through college. And one of the things I realized is that that was my escape mechanism. That's why. That's what it was.
Mm.
With the world thing going on around me, I would find my peace in my books, in studying, in being that great student. I had no idea that that was my escape mechanism, which is was mind blowing to me at the moment when I had that. So there are things that will continue, right? There's that onion, and you're peeling back the layers, and I just find it so fascinating in those moments of like, wow, that's what that was. Oh wow. And whether it's relationships, whether it's work, whether it's, you yourself, healing that you need to do, it's just so beautiful to get those answers that you need for yourself.
Mm. So well put. Thank you, Annette, for saying that. And I just, as you were saying that and talking about the different areas of your life, Tony's Wheel of Life kind of popped up into my head. And whatever content you're using, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, as you're looking at all the places and spaces of your life that you want to improve on, and you want to do things better in your life. Be aware of those spaces and understanding of yourself, so that as this comes up, you can look at your work life, your personal life, your health, your everything that is all encompassing of to who and what we are, so that we can navigate through those and come out on the other side and be like, dang, yes, I am so glad I'm feeling amazing. So, Annette, can you kind of remind us all of our listeners around the world, like, where is it that we can find you? Please refresh our memories on how do we get in contact with you, your different groups, and all that good fun.
You can find me on the social media platforms. Facebook, my name here on the screen. I don't have any pseudonames. It's Annette Ramrattan. And again, the name of the group is Passionate Living. But if you connect with me on a personal note, message me, join, connect with me in friend request. That's what I wanted to say. Then we could definitely connect. And if you want to have a message, set up a call, I'll be happy to set up a short call and see where we can connect and work together. And again, you're welcome to join our wonderful 24 Facets of Further Fast. I welcome you. I would love to celebrate you. And yeah, find me. And I really appreciate your time, Eric. I really appreciate this call. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Annette, and I really do appreciate you and love you, my sister. This has been great. I love having you on, and thank you for all the gold that you shared tonight with our listeners around the world, and just so appreciate you. And I do encourage all of you guys to please reach out to Annette and find her on social media, so you guys can help. You can join these groups and begin the process that she has been on to be that teacher of self. You guys know where to find me, Energetic Life Now, on the social media, and of course, my private Facebook group, the Empowered Family Network, and that encompasses birth to death. So if you don't have small kids, or the kids are older, whatever that case might be, it's all encompassing within that fun space. Invite you guys to hop in there and join me there. Just want to say thanks again, friends and family around the world, for joining and tuning in. We love having you here, and thanks so much for your time and attention. This show can also be heard on the Spanglish Radio Network. Please check it out at spanglishworld.ca for all the news and programming. Spanglish World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, live it. Thanks for being here. We'll see you soon.
Bye bye. Thank